Well, welcome everyone to AP Physics 1, another AP review class that I'm going to be tackling on my channel. And so in this video series, I'm going to be going over all the key concepts you need to know for the AP exam on AP Physics. But this video is kind of just like a little introduction on what is AP Physics, how AP Physics came about, the kinds of students that take the exam, yada yada yada. So for starters, what kinds of kids take the AP Physics 1 type of class? Well, there are two different types of students who take AP Physics 1. Students who have already taken introductory high school physics. There are plenty of students who come into this class having already taken a high school physics or high school honors physics science class, and then they jump into AP Physics 1. So they have some prior knowledge coming into the class. So some of those students are like that. Now, if you haven't ever taken an AP Physics class, it's okay because College Board specifically wrote AP Physics 1 to be well suited for students who have never been exposed to physics. I took AP Physics 1 being never exposed to physics before in my life, and I was able to jump into AP Physics 1 and do extremely well in the class and do well in the AP exam. So the other group of students are students who have never taken physics before, and this is their first physics class, and so this is just for them another introductory physics class, and they'll be able to build their foundational knowledge in the first month or two of the class, so that they can go on to learning more advanced physics topics. So again, now before we get started, let's talk about how AP Physics 1 came to be and kind of what the heck happened with AP Physics. So what happened is we started with something called AP Physics B. So we started with a class. I cannot write today. Let me make that a little bit nicer. We started with something called AP Physics B. And back when this class started, about the 1970s, a little bit of history, back at this time, a lot of college physics classes were centered around lectures and were more heavily focused on mathematical ideas. Because as we're about to find out, physics is going to have a lot of math to it. There's a lot of equations you got to know, and you got to learn how to use those equations. And so physics is pretty important. And so back in the 1970s, 80s era, college physics classes were heavily taught by using mathematical equations and mathematical reasoning in physics. And so the AP Physics B exam in class was along like that, where there was tons and tons of content, just loaded with so much content. And the AP exam was loaded with, could you solve math problems and could you use mathematical ideas in physics? So it was actually an extremely hard class back when it first started, and it was practically all math. Then, in about the 1990s, some physics professors thought, well, maybe we should start not leaning, when we teach physics, not leaning so much on the teaching the math, but maybe start teaching the science principles, where maybe the science behind the math should be more important than the math itself. And so college classes shifted. And so then AP Physics B kind of shifted to meet that. There were a couple free response questions that were like, all right, explain your calculations, kind of simple stuff like that. Then in about the early 2000s, College Board got a grant to ramp up all their science classes. And so then a couple years later, about 10 years later, we split Physics B into two different classes. Physics 1, and Physics 2. And these two AP Physics classes are a lot simpler, a lot less content than AP Physics B, and they place a lot more stress on being in the lab and learning the science practices more so than learning the math itself. And learning that, in order to understanding the science is more important in a science class than understanding how to do the math that gets you a sciencey answer. And so that's what AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2 is split up into. So it's actually, AP Physics B became two separate courses, two full-year separate courses. And in this video series, we'll be tackling AP Physics 1. And then on the side, for those of you that are curious, there are still two more types of classes. There's AP Physics, and this was included back in the day. We now have AP Physics C, and there are two types of classes on that. There's mechanics, and there's electricity and magnetism. Electricity and magnetism. And these are, you should have at least, if you're going to take AP Physics C, you should at least have a background in high school physics or have taken AP Physics 1 and or AP Physics 2. Because AP Physics C goes into a lot deeper understanding of physics, and they use a lot of calculus in those classes. So you should understand AP Physics. You should understand that you should probably take AP Physics 1 and 2 before taking AP Physics C, because those are more calculus-heavy, calculus-based classes. But in this video, and in this video series, we're just worried about AP Physics 1. So now, without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to do in this class. So in terms of what you need to expect in terms of the content that's going to be covered, excuse me, in terms of the, excuse me, in terms of what the content is going to be expected, what kind of content is expected in this class, there's really only 3 major concepts you cover, and they are right here. You're only going to cover, the only 3 things you're going to cover are, oops, let me get my brush out. The only 3 topics are mechanics, waves, and electricity. That's all you're really going to be tested on the AP exam. Now, of course, there's going to be multiple mini ideas within those ideas, and I mean, I think it also should be clear that you're probably going to spend 80% of your time in this class in this area, and then like 1 unit on waves, and then 1 unit on electricity, and then the most of your time will be the mechanics part. But that's really all you're going to learn in this class. Remember, we broke AP Physics B into AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2. There's more to learn next year. So we're mostly just going to look at these concepts, and we'll dive into more stuff. You'll dive into more concepts in AP Physics 2. But that's the breakdown of kind of what to expect on the AP exam. There's lots of little things we're going to look at in between. We're going to look at, simple harmonic motion. We're going to look at resistors and electricity. We're going to look at momentum. We're going to look at kinematic equations and how to relate velocity, acceleration, and time and displacement, and so many more things. You're going to learn a lot in AP Physics 1, but I'll make sure that I teach you the science concepts, since that's what's tested on the AP exam, and not so much the calculations. So that's all that I have for you guys in this video. So if you're excited about learning some AP Physics 1 content, definitely hit subscribe and leave a like. It really shows that you support my content and what I create on my channel. And I'll see you guys back for more AP Physics 1 videos. So see you guys then.